Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing, and I have these two wonderful paper pads from Not Too Shabby Shop, Yay for Red, White, and Blue, and Patriotic Waves. Not Too Shabby does a paper pad club. I have probably shown you by now a video of the finished cards, but I just thought, well, let's do a little bit of process video if it works. So this is how I start out. I have taken some stuff out and fussy cut it watching TV, and then I thought, well, let's look through and just see what speaks to us and make some cards. Ooh, I kind of like that one. If I was doing a whole smash, I would take the entire pad all the way apart. That's how I start. If I'm just sort of cherry picking my favorites and making some cards, then I will look, ooh, that one's different. It's lighter. Oh, I like them both. Then I'll just take some out and lay them out. Then the ones I don't use, I'll tuck back in the pad. It just kind of gives you an idea. Now, this light blue is really nice, but it's on the back of the cut-aparts. And since I really like the cut-aparts, I don't know that I want to use that light blue. I might pull in light blue from my stash or something else. There's a lot of, like, young images in this, I think. It's really kind of fun and there's a lot going on. This one, I love these pugs. Oh my gosh, they're crazy. I want to play with some of this ephemera that I cut out. I don't have a plan, but in a day and a half, I need to have a video where I share what I made with this paper. Ooh, this is kind of cool. On this one, I just don't think it'll pop enough, but on this one, it might be kind of amazing. And you know how I am about dogs. Oh my gosh. Look at how cute he is. Because these papers have so much going on, if I'm not careful, we're not going to see this dog. So let me try something. I just think he is precious. And we have in Yay for Red, White, and Blue, we have some, I'm going to use the word solids, but they're not really solids. They're just a way to make him pop. Ooh. I mean, I think we both know I'm going to use that one, right? But let's see. There could be something else. I like that one too. Gosh, there's a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones. I don't know if my friend Teresa designed this for sure or if Jamie did it, but neat stuff. Not Too Shabby has really, really fun paper pads. Okay. Do you see it? It's kind of coming together. You might not see it yet. You can start making cards and approach things so many different ways. There's not really a right or a wrong way. Ooh, that side's good too. As long as you're having fun, you're definitely, absolutely doing it right. I sort of have a routine, I guess. I don't want to say routine. That makes it sound like it's not good, but I take papers that I love and I cut them 4 by 5 1/4, and that's my back layer. But what I'm thinking about here is, you've probably seen Christy Marcotte do it. When she has a paper that she likes or wants to conserve on, she's going to die cut out of the background. So what I'm starting to have come together is, this is my background, this is my paper, this we're going to die cut out of, and we're going to get some of these stars for the dog to sit on. Now, if this was a solid blue paper pad, you know, like I have a pile of from Michael's, or maybe even like, you know, my favorite Stampin' Up! Blue, I wouldn't necessarily cut it out of the back, but I really, really want to conserve this paper, and I'm loving this pattern on it, so I don't want to just cover that up. I want to have it to use. So I don't do this a whole lot, but, you know, sometimes you need to. If you send me beautiful blue paper with stars on it, I have to figure out how to make it go as far as I can. And we can put a circle in here so it doesn't sag, but that's not really the point. Okay, now let's cut this. I like that. I want to give us a 1/4 inch. So let's cut this 3.5. And we want a 1/2 inch smaller, so we can have a 1/4 inch on each side. So that way we went 4 3/4. Ooh, maybe we should round the corners. I don't know. I just felt like maybe we should. Yeah, let's do it. If we can find a corner rounder. Look at me. First try. Was exactly in the drawer where it should be. Now, sometimes I round the front layer and not the back layer. Especially if I want to see a little more of it. See how the stars show more in the corner? So I'm going to leave it like that. I have a little nick in the paper there, so let's turn that. There we go. Then we're getting stars up top. Are these lilies directional? I don't think so, because I keep flipping them. I don't think they're directional. Okay, there. Oh, I don't want to cover up that blue rose. Let's go right there, maybe. And then put him, oh my gosh. Is he adorable or what? Just because you're using red, white, and blue doesn't mean that you couldn't make a birthday card, or I probably couldn't pull off a sympathy card. I could make a birthday card. I could make a thinking of you. I could make a get well soon. Maybe somebody had a surgery in the middle of summer, something like that. But for this one, because he is just so darn cute and decked out, I'm going to find something kind of patriotic. I have miles and miles of red, white, and blue and all sorts of things because I like blue so much. How about Let Freedom Ring? But I don't know exactly where we're going to put it. Okay, I kind of love him, and I'm trying not to cover up the blue rose. So I think we could put this up here, and then I wouldn't lose either one of my blue roses. And that is not a special fancy layout thing. That is literally, I want the blue roses to show. I fussy cut these by hand, so I do have a bit of white around the edge of the dog, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to glue him down and kind of scooch him over just to the side a bit and make sure a lot of these stars show. So I'm going to pivot this a little. There we go. Do pugs just look sad by default? He kind of looks sad, but I think that's just a cute little pug face. Last year, the Not Too Shabby shop had dogs in their red, white, and blue also. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It's like they're making it for me. Do you think Teresa's doing that? Sometimes on your paper, you just have to let it go that you're covering up a cute side. If paper is cute on both sides, don't spend your life agonizing over which side to use. Most pads have one of each, and if you are just beside yourself on which one to pick, just use one on one and one on the other. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Okay, now I'm not going to glue it down till we figure out what I'm going to stamp this on. I'm going to look and see if there's a really pale paper. Remember, I don't want to use... I haven't cut her out yet, and I think there's enough room to go right here. So I'm going to try right there and see if we can make something salvageable out of that. Oops, I got dirty, taking a dirty stamp off this block. I know, you're shocked that I didn't have clean tools sitting around ready to be used, aren't you? I have a lot of fun, and I don't always clean up after each project. Right outside the view of the camera, let me show you. I still have a bunch of school card stuff right here, and the stamps are dirty. That's how I got stuff on my finger. Then I think we could cut it really tiny and it'll work. Oh, we're gonna have to pick a blue. Okay, Night and Navy is really dark. I think Suede Shoes is too. Let's try Brilliant and see how it looks with this paper, because this paper looks pretty brilliant to me. Brilliant is my all-time favorite. Stampin' Up! Does not make it anymore. If you have some sort of power, you can tell someone that I'd like it. We'll stamp it on here. Then if we don't like the color, we'll do something different. And that's just because I can't find any other paper I want to stamp on right now. You know what? Let's test it, because that stamp is skinny and I might not have it on the block really well. Okay, here's an envelope. We'll try it on here. I'll stamp it in the corner in case I want to use it in July Daily. Okay, that's what I was talking about. My L is a little high. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't throw it out or anything, but we could fix it. There we go. So I just adjusted it a tiny bit, moved it down. We'll stamp this. I have ink all over my fingers, which is never good for your projects, right? Okay, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm thinking I could cut a tiny rectangle and it would be adorable sticking out from under there. So I'm not gonna glue this down until we decide. I have a card base right here. This one's kind of done while the parts are drying. And I would put something under there, a circle. I would take this same die and cut it. I'm not going to use paper from this pad. Of course, I'm going to go into my stash and find something that is a fairly sturdy cardstock like this that I don't love. And it can be any color because it's not going to show. You don't have to necessarily fill in that spot, but I always worry that if I leave a card sitting around for a while, right now it's still April, by the time I give away that card, I don't want it to be like, have a saggy spot or something. Okay. Ooh, I love these too. Oh gosh, look. Okay, there's a bigger dog. We gotta use him too. I don't know if my dogs can sit in flowers, but I haven't ruled it out. Okay, let's look and see what else in here. You know, it just like says, oh, okay, that one's pretty cool. Let's do one of these. And then I wonder if we could put him, this bigger dog, on an oval. Because if we put him on a circle, I don't think he's going to fit on this circle. We're going to cover up a lot of our paper. Oh, he'd still fit on here. And he'd be cute. I kind of like him on the oval better. And I can deal with the flag. We can work through that. So let's think about a vertical card and an oval paper. Let's find one that we like for that. We got a lot of blue in here, so we need something to dial that back. I know, who am I? Why am I talking like that? That's crazy. Okay, let's look in the more solids. Here we go. In the yay for red, white, and blue. And maybe we get like a sparkly red. Ooh, the red polka dot would be fun. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. I don't know if we're going to use it for this card. Too big, I think. Like the pattern was too big for him. I don't know about that one. Ooh, I like this. I kind of like, ooh, and I like the other side too. Gosh. Decisions. Oh, that one's fun. How about that one with the fireworks? What do you think? See, there's no like system. Oh, do you like it? Okay, I'm going to do that one. I don't know. You might be saying, no, that's not the one, Sarah. But I just want you to see, there isn't really a system. Now here, this is another example. I could make this, let's do that. I'm going to make this assuming that I will want to use it for a card base later. In fact, we might use it on this one even. So I'm going to make it 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to put my die in the center to run it through. Now, the only thing about doing it this way is I have to use my bigger die cutter, right? I can't just like chop around a little oval and run it through, which, I mean, isn't a deal breaker. I have them both. I'm just lazy. The tape on this is not tape anymore. There we go. And I use a Sizzix Big Shot. I don't know if it's the best thing. A lot of my friends have electric die cutters. Mr. Crafting and Relaxing cannot stand some of those sounds. I don't know. I already had that one. It's not broken, so I just keep going. Now, oh my gosh, look at him. He's going to be adorable. Love it. I think he needs some foam mount, don't you think? Maybe the other guy does too. Sometimes when you're partway through, do you forget what you were doing? I remember now. This paper and this paper. On that one, we did a 1/4 inch because it sort of had a pattern. This one doesn't. So I'm going to cut this a little bigger. I'm just going to do 1/8 of an inch of the red showing around. Oops, I almost cut it this way and I need him to stand up. So this is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut this one 3 3/4 by 5 because the other one is 5 1/4. And all I'm doing is subtracting 1/4 of an inch, right? You have your card base, then you have this. So I'm just going down 1/4 of an inch on each one. And if you cut it and it's not right, well, change your plan. It's not trash. I'm going to pop him up with foam mount, the dog. I'm not going to glue him down yet because I think I have more stamps. I mean, don't I? I want something that's a different shape, like something that says Happy 4th of July or celebrate or something that's not long and skinny like these, just to kind of change the shape of this card. I don't know, we'll think about it. But for now, I'm just going to get a bunch of foam mount and put it behind him. You don't have to have foam mount. The world doesn't end. It makes it a little trickier to mail cards, especially if you get carried away with it. And honestly, the reason I'm on a foam mount kick this week is I remember to have this roll of foam mount. I bought this before COVID, and it's getting a little bit old. Like the stickiness isn't quite as perfect as it once was, and I just find that I don't use it. During COVID, I stopped making my cards so dimensional because going out to lunch with friends for birthdays and stuff didn't really happen, so I was mailing more and more of them. So I still have a big stash of cards that are too chunky to mail. This amount of foam mount is fine, but if you go crazy and you start doubling up, which I might, because I might want to put it behind here, and then you try and add an enamel dot to that, it no longer mails like a letter, it becomes a parcel, and you're in a very different expense category at that point. And if your post office mails it and isn't paying attention, they will charge your friend, the recipient. Now, what I'm thinking is I might not glue the flag in any way. I might just let the flag be, and then he has this dimension. And because my foam mount, like I said, is getting a little old, I am just putting a touch of glue on it before I put it down. And that actually does two things. If you put glue all over your foam mount, or say glue dots, wet glue, it gives you a second to jiggle it. Jiggle? Is that the correct term? Because it doesn't grip right away because it's wet. For me, I'm just worried mine isn't sticking all that well. So I want it to have a little help. I want to be sure he doesn't fall off. We don't want lost dogs. Okay, it's really fancy. I'm filming with my phone, so I use another tool just to weigh that down for a second and let it dry. You can use your phone if you're not trying to make a video. I've gotten a lot of glue on my phone over the years. It turns out fine. Okay, now I didn't put any adhesive in the middle because I haven't filled in the oval yet, but mostly I'm just trying to assemble this card so you can see how it goes together. I know in a process video, if you don't actually put anything together, sometimes people can't learn and they're not seeing how it goes. Okay, so that'll go on there. I'll put an oval behind there. It's just, I have to die cut more, and that's boring. You don't want to wait for that. Oh my gosh, he's so adorable. I'm not sure I want to put anything else on the card. Or maybe I want to take navy cardstock and heat emboss it with white. I don't know. I mean, I'm a dog lover. This is crazy cute. These would be great cards for the dog rescue. Oh my gosh, that I make cards for. So I could just have these cute dogs on them. I think that's what I'm going to do, you guys. And then on the inside, I think I'll stamp it with blue and do rescued as my favorite breed. This is another great example, right? I was the one saying, well, just because it's this kind of paper doesn't mean it has to be a 4th of July card. I make cards for a local dog rescue, and she uses them to thank people. They will like dogs on cards. They will like a little pug in a hat. all kinds of dogs. So I think that's what I'll do. I still do think I'm going to put Let Freedom Ring on this one because I think if I just put him in the middle, that's kind of boring. I think it'll be more fun if I move him over, don't cover up this blue rose, and then have a little something up here. Cute, cute. Now I think on the ephemera sheet, there was just, I want to double check. I think there were just 2 dogs. So that's probably it. You know, I've already laid everything out and made a giant mess. Yeah, so I only have the 2 dogs. So I think the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out and put them in my, I'm going to watch TV with Mr. Crafting and Relaxing and cut these up because I think I only cut 1 sheet thinking, okay, well, let's see how these turn out. Yeah, well, I clearly want to make dog cards. And I could use this paper too. And if you have a paper like this that has a ridiculously cute design, you can do a couple things. Let me zoom in. Yes, I could cut it and use it as a background. Okay, it could be a background paper. But the other thing I could do is I could come in here with a die and different dies to say, okay, I want to get these 2 guys cut out for sure. And I might be able to strategize a little bit so I could use this for background. If nothing else though, I still have scraps. And I am super weird. I don't know if you guys are. I'm super weird about having the animals and like having their heads cut off like this. So I wouldn't want to use this part necessarily, but I would love to use everything around it so I could chop it and make little squares and do a scrap card or strips. But I mean, this is just the craziest, cutest thing ever. So you can set your dies on there and then figure out, okay, what is it going to look like? Or if you were trying to conserve space, you could come in this way and then you would have a spot in between. I don't know how that would help us though. Either way, we're not going to end up with a section to make a background out of. Kind of liked them better this way. But this way you get the flowers. You see, you can just go through your dies. You could also just experiment a little bit with a piece of paper. You know, like come in like this if you don't have dies and you're just going to use your paper cutter and go, okay, well, if I cut it 3 inches wide, it would work here. Yeah, so I want to do some of that. This little guy is adorable. I love the colors in the background in this one. Oh, here's a more neutral USA. The dogs would need something to pop, right? They would need something because they're kind of this tone. Okay, I'm going to tear this one out too so I can cut some more dogs. So I guess we've gone down a dog path. I thought we were going to make patriotic cards, but sometimes you open up, oh my gosh, look at this one. She's taking pictures, is ridiculously cute. I don't know. Do you have a million pictures of your dog? I have some pictures of Mr. Crafting and Relaxing and hundreds of thousands of pictures of my dogs and cats. And I'm not sorry. I'll save them somewhere else. I'll buy a phone with more memory. I don't save my videos that I make for you guys, but I save my videos of my dogs and cats. This one's really fun. The thing is, some of these things, I like them, but I wouldn't necessarily put them together and then I get, you know, like a squirrel. Oh gosh, I want to make that one. Oh, I want to make that one. I don't love this paper with this background because I think it kind of washes it out maybe or distracts from it. Like, I don't want anything that fights this paper because I really, really like it. Maybe one of these reds is the way to go. Let me zoom you back out so you can see. Maybe one of those, because a dark blue I just feel like might take away, unless it's just the flag blue. That might be the way to go. Ooh, that one's super cute. How can you not like polka dots? There, that might be the one. Makes the flags and her shirt. Ooh, yeah, I like those two together. When you have papers like this where so much can mix and match, do you get like, oh my gosh, distracted? I'm having so much with these paper, so much fun. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I should just take both pads all the way apart because clearly we're going to use a ton. Now, I don't know how many are going to be in the first video you see because I'm going to be honest with you. I just bit off more than I could chew and, you know, vacations and timing and crazy work. So I don't know how many you'll see, but I'm going to go eat dinner and then I think there will be more process video. While I had the camera off, I did some die cutting. I just went into my little scrap containers and I found this piece. I don't think it matters what color it is really, but I don't know, some part of me was like, on the off chance that it shows, I didn't use a bright green. But my card bases are 110 pounds, I think. So it's not going to show through. If you're using card bases that are thinner, oh, maybe you would have a trouble. But you see what I'm saying? When I put this on here, it's so thick it doesn't show. If your card bases are thinner, that might be something you want to keep in mind. Okay, so now I can put it on the card base because I have filled in that possibly floppy spot. And I can put a big X across there. If I was in a hurry or I was going to give away a birthday card today, I wouldn't worry about it one bit. I'm going to be honest with you. Now these papers have a bit of a sheen to them than not too shabby papers do. So I think I'm a little more careful with them. Like I'm not going to take my bone folder and dig into it because I don't want to mess it up. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. I'm just going to put him right in the middle. I'm in love with him. Now, he does have foam mount, but I'm still going to use my ATG right over the top and just be a little more gentle because I don't want to mess up the flag or anything. And because I have slick papers and quite a bit of dimension, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, which I probably didn't need. I'm sure my ATG would hold these just fine. But he's just so darn cute. I don't want him to fall off of there. Now, if you have foam mount, be a little careful about how you push on it, you know, because you don't want to like bend and damage the edge of your embellishment, your dog or whatever it may be, because your foam mount doesn't go all the way to the edge. So I'm going to set that right there. And I'm going to put this stamp on it. Again, just kind of helping it set down on that glue. Probably doesn't need it. I cut this circle. I have a million of these navy square scraps. So that's what I used to fill in this hole. I don't think it matters one bit that it's not the full circle. It's just getting that floppy space filled in. And I didn't worry too much. Oops, I got a glue problem. I didn't worry too much about, you know, what weight are those scraps. I just figured most of my scraps aren't overly thick and they would be just fine and not make a big lump or anything. Now, what was my plan? Okay, I want my flowers to show. I don't think that's right, you guys. There we go. I wouldn't be upset, but, you know, I would be a little bummed that I lost track of one of my blue flowers. There we go. Loving it. These graphics are just wonderful. Okay, I'm going to put that right there. Then where do we stamp this? Okay, now cutting straight is really not one of my talents. But I can't run this through the paper cutter, I don't think, because I'll chop the flag. So let's just try and cut it at a reasonable point. There we go. Now we'll straighten it up. And I know I have friends that I watch on YouTube and they cut magically with a pair of scissors and everything comes out straight and nice, and that's really great. I'm not one of those people. And we can only chop this thing smaller so many times before it won't work. So I'm just going to try and keep it somewhat square and straight till we figure out exactly what shape it's going to be. And this is just because I am being very, very picky with the amount of paper I'm using. Okay, I think I have the talent to take a pair of scissors and go like this. There. I was able to make one cut that I believe is straight. It's a little heavy on the bottom side though, isn't it? Whew, wish us luck. Here we go. if I had a little more length, it might be a little cuter because, you know, I could make a flag or something like that. But I think that's kind of cute. Now, what I'm trying to decide is, I glued him down before I thought about foam mount. Do I want to bring this up? Do I want to leave this flat and maybe just bring this up? Or none of it, so that it mails really, really well. This kind of gets lost though. Doesn't it need a little something maybe? Just a little pop. Yeah, it does. It needs a little pop. Just layering things up sometimes, even if it's not big dimension. Now, this is a little bit too much glue because these are both slick papers. So I'm just going to take my finger. You could use a Kleenex, you could whatever. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to use my finger and then I'm going to wipe it in my hoodie pocket. I know, some stuff you should not learn from me. There is glue inside the pocket of all my clothes. I'm going to tell you that right now. I was putting it on the front sometimes because in my mind, like, art glitter glue is water soluble. It is, but I'm not sure it always washes out later. And I don't always use art glitter glue, so then I forget. Okay, I'm going to let that dry for just a sec. This would have been an opportunity for me to mount this in the center and make it like a little flag on one end or something. I just didn't even think about it. And I feel like now it's going the wrong way. I could put it, we could put it over here and go this way. I'm not feeling it. This is an example of when I talk about when you watch people and they make a card and it just looks so easy. Well, I've never used this sentiment and these dogs before, right? So I don't know exactly how I want it layered up or how it all fits on the page size-wise. I've got some kind of glue on here. Hold everything. There we go. I think it'll be okay when it dries. I'll just use my little sand eraser. Okay. Had I used this before, then I might know. Okay, I think I'm going to put it at an angle, and I'm going to put him right there. What do you think? He could... Oh, okay, let's try one more thing to bump this up a notch. I mean, if we're going patriotic, don't we need a little sparkle? Now, I don't think I want another stitched die. I'm not sure I'd love the stitched dies in this situation because I think they go up more in size than my other dies. I think we could do this. Yes, let's do this. This will just be a nice little ring of, let's see if this scrap works. No, a nice little ring of iridescent paper. This is another example too, where you could cut the circle out of your cardstock background and save the paper. I'm going to be honest with you, I have a lot of that paper and I'm not real concerned with doing that right now. I'm just saying you could, especially if you bought your specialty paper by the sheet and you want to really make it go a longer way. But sometimes when you're making videos, it's just annoying to have an extra step. Ooh, I think that was an extra step that was worth it though. Okay, so what that does is it makes him, I don't know, it just kind of makes him sing a little bit, you know? Gives him a little more shine and another layer, but I didn't want to take up a lot of space. That's why I didn't do another stitched one, because it does make him bigger on the card. So I have to move him over. He's going to cover up my blue ones a little, and then I can put this right here. Okay, now I'm going to glue this all together and quit fiddling with it. I'm going to use wet glue because it's going to let me jiggle my circles a little bit. My ATG gun would hold this perfectly too, but you know how when you put your circle down and then it's just nice if you can get a minute and look at it and go, oops. Let's go that way just a little. Now, wet glue on iridescent paper, it won't soak in a lot. And if I get too rowdy and squeeze it out, then it's probably going to get a little messed up when I cut it off, when I clean it off. But I didn't overdo it. I didn't put it too close to the edge. And then I managed to get it on there straight. Now for this part, I'm just going to use my ATG. Some things, it doesn't really matter which one you use. This is nice, thick paper that's going to hold itself together, so I don't have to worry about, you know, if it's floppy, if I don't get wet glue all the way to the edge, and I can just use my ATG. There we go. Then I'm going to come in right here. I don't know that I want them to touch. I'm not going to. You can tell me later if you think they should have. I'll learn from it. Okay. There we go. I think he's cute. He could use some stars, don't you think? I mean, let's let freedom ring. We're being patriotic. I think he needs some stars, and I have no shortage of bling stars here. In fact, somewhere I have some. The blue might be a little light. These aren't the ones I was thinking of, but those are a maybe. Ooh, here's some frosted ones. I have silver puffy stars. They might be a little big, or actually maybe 3 of these little ones would be kind of adorable. And maybe even on here, because you have these flat ones, and then you could those, but those weren't the ones I was thinking of. These guys, these guys do not do this paper justice, right? Like I have a hard time mixing my royals and my navies sometime, and this almost has a touch of green, whereas this is more violet. So I just don't feel like these work, but I had the right idea, didn't I? I think these might be kind of cute. And I'm just not pushing them down yet. I don't know how well these stick. Oh, these are Queen and Company. These probably stick pretty well. Yeah, let's go here, here, and here. Okay. Fun. Sometimes I have a hard time figuring out where my bling should go, so I just decided and I went. I'm also going to need a little tiny scrap in the inside just because I need one. And then here, let's give this guy some bling too. He could, there's not much white to speak of. I mean, except on the, oh my gosh. Let's put one of those right there. It's like the exact, well, it just looks weird because it covers up his thing exactly, but then you don't see it. I had some other ones where you could see the little chain link thing, and then it made more sense. That just looks like I would put a weird star on his chest. Okay, I don't know which ones I want on this one yet. I'm going to think about it. See, sometimes I like them simple, and so the bling is harder for me. I like to buy bling. I'm not very good at putting it on my cards sometimes. I need to clean up, and then I need to actually eat. I didn't get that far. So I think we're done for today with these two. And then we'll do some more. I don't know if you'll get to see them, though. We'll see. Good morning, friends. I am back at it. Today, I want to play with these flowers. I did some more cutting last night when I was watching TV, so I have the dogs, and I was thinking I might do a card with both of them together like this, but I also want to play with these flowers. There's just so much good stuff in here. One of the things that I love to do is tear paper, and it's especially good for if you're trying to, like for me, I'm trying to highlight a collection, so I don't want to bring in a million other things. It's also really good for somebody who maybe doesn't have a ton of supplies. I'm going to cut myself some strips of this paper, but what I'm also doing is thinking, okay, I want a large piece so I'm not messing up the future card. The technique I'm about to do is better if you do it at the end of the collection when you have your scraps and you can go through them. So we're going to make sure that we don't mess anything up that I would want to use later. So here's a 4-inch piece. That will be for our cards down the road. Okay, so we're setting that one aside. And that's all I'm doing. You could just pick up the pieces of paper and start tearing off of them, but you might be sad later because you went a 1/4 or an 1/8 of an inch smaller than you wanted. Okay, so now I have strips, and what I was thinking was, how about a red, white, and blue card? I'm going to be honest with you, plaids are not something that I lean into, So I don't think I want to pull in a plaid, and I want the flowers to pop, so I don't want a lot going on. Ooh, okay, I do kind of like that. That's herringbone though, right? I think I like that. So I don't know that we really have anything white and boring in here. And then I don't want to bring in like full-on 4th of July USA, that kind of thing. Oddly enough, I do have these embossed stars on white that, I don't know, I've never used. So I am going to bring in a few stars. And all I did was cut a chunk off of that. This paper's pretty beat up at the end anyway. Then I need to think about, what do I want my mat for this card to be? If I'm going to layer it on this, I don't want to mat it with this. What about just navy? Let's try that. And all I'm trying to do, I think that one, Night of Navy. All I'm trying to do is make it so at the end, you notice the flowers. You're not distracted, because I have a tendency to add so many other papers and that you say, wow, those are gorgeous flowers. So I think I'll go here, 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 and then we'll put the flowers. I don't know where my sentiment is going to go exactly yet, or what shape it is, but I think it's a happy birthday, because I have someone that I love that has a July birthday and really likes flowers. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. And I'm thinking foam mount and maybe some stickles down the road. My stickles are a little rough, so I don't know. I think stickles need to be on my shopping list, but then I get confused and buy random stuff. Now these flowers, if you look carefully, they're amazing. They already have a really interesting design on them. So I think if I add stickles, I'll be sure I don't go over those. I'll add it to some other parts. Here, what I want to do, I'll just show you. I'm just going to start and show you. When you tear your paper, depending on how you do it, you get bigger, sloppier edges or cleaner edges. I like big, sloppy edges, so I'll show you how I do mine. And I like to kind of curve around, make it interesting. And I'm tearing towards me and not pushing my fingernail in there too much. I didn't hold my nails in tight and keep it really tidy. I like that big mess. If you want just the torn edge, then you tear away from you. If you tear towards you, you're getting that white side, or you can flip it. But I want this, especially because we're doing red, white, and blue. If we had a white core and we were doing like earth tones, then I would definitely not want that. I'm gonna tear this one almost in half, like pretty far up, because I need some room. The other thing I do sometimes, let me show you, is I'll cut it to the length. Okay, I know I want it 5 inches. If you cut it to the length, then you can tear in the shape of your card if you want. Let me tell you what I mean. I could go down here and round it more and then come back up and stop right here. But since I hadn't cut it to the length, I didn't know where that would be. Also in this one, I'm thinking of like stripes on a flag. So I'm not going to get all curvy. I literally just want it pretty straight. But if you wanted to, that's how you could do it. And you know, I always favor the blue, so I want a little more of the blue. In fact, I might not have torn the red tight enough. Ooh, loving it. Okay, now, because I still have this whole big long strip, I can adjust which piece I put on there. Let me show you. If I put this one, it's going to be less straight. If I move it over and cut this end off, it will be more straight. So I'm going to do that. And it's totally personal preference, right? And if you look at this and you go, oh my gosh, I messed this up. I don't like how I tore it. Well, just grab it, re-tear it. Oh, I'm loving this. These papers are so fun. Okay, I'm going to cut this so we can glue it down and stop dinking around. The combinations in these papers and having, I would call it like both reds, you know what I mean? Like the really deep red and then the bright red and the variety of blues. I could play with these all day. I do have a bunch of stuff to do today though. I'm a little torn on whether I want to narrow the blue. This card isn't coming together the way I imagined it, but you know, sometimes you're like, oh, this is better. I was imagining the flowers across the middle and then the sentiment across the top. Now I'm thinking, what if we drop the flowers down onto this blue more? I'm not a flower arranger, but I feel like I could handle it. And then it's like that. And then we put our sentiment up there. Oh, kind of love it. And then we'll put them in the middle and we'll pop some up. See, I mean, these papers just speak to me. If you were doing this yourself, a really smart thing to do would be to take a picture right now. The other way to do it is some people start layering and gluing from the top so that you don't have to take it all apart. You're on my phone, so I can't take a picture, but I'm going to make the assumption that I can rearrange the flowers again and get them in a way that I like. I really like this, but I also want to bring in some of these little blue ones. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the whole thing off and assume that I can rebuild it. I spend a lot of time laying things out and then taking them apart and fiddling. That's all right. And like I said, I hadn't intended to smash this pad, so I didn't take it all apart, but now I'm thinking, ooh, maybe I should have. Ooh, I like that one too, but I'm going with the dots. I do love polka dots. Okay, now, the best way when you have all these pieces of paper and you're trying to line them up, put your corner piece down. My corner piece doesn't have any glue. I'm not going to glue it first, but I'm going to use it to square everything up. Also, I am going to tear this one a little smaller just because we have so much. It's a lot of layers and thickness. I mean, a smart person would do it before they put the adhesive on the back, but just roll with me. We don't worry about rules and sequence. Okay, I like that. I like that. If it gets too crooked or it's terrible, you can always trim the paper. The navy around it, we could just adjust that. Okay, now I'm going to glue this one down. I'm not going to glue all along this edge carefully because I may want to tuck something. I don't think that's my plan with the flowers, but I have done cards like this before where I sort of tuck something into there. So let's keep that option open. Oh my gosh, this paper is great. And it just has, you know, I was scared. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little scared of these papers that have the sheen. They're not totally matte. But, you know, we stamped. Yesterday we stamped Let Freedom Ring on here. It's fine. And it is kind of fun to have just a little bit more, I think, sheen or shine or, I don't know, fancy. Okay, calling it good. Love it. This is also really fun because the cardstock and the white don't have the shine, and so these papers pop even better. Okay, now the fun. Oh my gosh. Aren't these gorgeous? Stunning. Now what I want to do is, these two red flowers are the same. What are these, poppies? I don't know. No one would know. But I don't want them to look exactly the same when I use them in this. So I'm going to tuck them in differently, maybe cover up the one side, have it come out differently, just so it's not symmetrical. It drives my mom nuts that I don't like symmetrical things, but I just don't. It's not my thing. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to glue some of them flat and foam some of them. This card I will likely want to mail, but as long as I don't go 2 or 3 layers, it should mail just fine. Before we glue them down though, let me choose a happy birthday sentiment, because if I'm using a big one, I'm going to stay where I am. If I'm not, I think I want to be more on the line, right? And make these flowers like not a cluster on the card, but literally the card. Should I cut more? There are 4 pages. 3 pages. I think there might be 4. Yeah. So there's 4 pages of sentiment. So I could cut more flowers. I just didn't. I was also cutting other fussy cutting shapes for a different project. This paper cuts pretty nice too. That's one thing that I noticed. Like I said, it was just, it's different paper and you're not used to it. These aren't connected. I'm sure I chopped them. Yeah. We come in with happy birthday in navy. Now, what do we want to put that on? I think we'll just put it on white. And maybe because I want a lot of the paper to show, I'll go smaller like that. I could stamp right on that, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I just won't love it. Or I could stamp on it, we could look at it and see what we think. And then if we don't love it, we'll put a piece of paper over it. I do love the size of the font. Now, also normally, I don't spend this long planning a card. This card is for someone that I absolutely love. So that's part of it, right? Some of it is the paper, but it's also the person, like when you make special cards for special people, you think about it. And it's not that other people aren't special. It's that when you know the people, you have a better idea of what they will like. I don't think we can mess up the flowers. I think we can mess up the sentiment. So let's do the sentiment first. Get that out of the way. Know that we haven't destroyed this card. And then we'll make our flowers beautiful. That's my logic. And I think if the sentiment goes badly, we'll just put more paper over the top. Isn't that the solution as crafters? We have stickers. I bet I have stickers that say happy birthday. So what I'm going to do is I'm picking this stamp up exactly the way it was built because I just think that's lovely across the top of there. And on a stamp like this where A, I've cut it, B, I haven't used it very much before, I'm going to be sure that I don't stamp directly on this card first. And many of us have stamp positioners. That's great. Use yours. I never use mine except for card bases or giant mass makes. I don't know why. I mean, I probably get mine out to stamp one image twice a year. Not even monthly. Absolutely not. But I was sure I had to have those. Okay, we need some scratch paper. Here we go. Here's our envelope. We're back at it. Okay, now if I use this envelope in a journal, I'm going to have to collage over this because I don't want happy birthday and let freedom ring. Ooh, that is a nice stamp. Really nice. I think I got this one from Christy Marcotte in a D-stash box. The D, to me, looks like it has some dog hair or something on it. And just to be clear, that's always normal in my room. That's not because she gave it to me. I'm sure it was perfectly clean when I used it the first time. Okay, let's try again. I hope you're not dying of boredom just because I'm puttering around and having fun. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, somehow I got ink right there. See it under the Y? It's on the edge of the pad. Okay, again, sweatshirt pocket to the rescue. Keep some clean rags handy. Well, they don't have to be that clean even, just not with dog hair. And you can use them for all sorts of things. I mean, you can use baby wipes too, but you don't want to use a million baby wipes in your crafting, right? Kind of don't feel great about the planet at that point. I try and keep the baby wipes for the really gross stuff. Okay, I hit that pad again. Part of it is I'm using this giant block that I'm not qualified to use. Okay. Now, ready, set, hold your breath. There we go. Contact is made. I'm just holding it for a second. I'm not squishing it too much. I'm not pushing. I'm just letting the ink breathe over. I'm a little worried about the H right there. It looks really muddy. And then I'm going to lift straight up. Oh, that is cute. And I think that's exactly how I want it because if I had put it on white paper and mounted it, it would cover up the paper. And I just didn't want a strip of paper. I just didn't want anything else. Who am I? It's weird. I usually layer and layer and layer. Again, I'm a little fearful of the slick paper, right? I'm going to go wash my hands because that's not the paper's fault. That's me. And then I'm going to dry them really good. And then I'm going to come back and I think that will be dry and we'll be super careful of it. But it's gorgeous. Sometimes when you get out your supplies and make stuff, are you surprised that it turns out that good? I don't feel like I take the credit for this, right? This is Not Too Shabby Shop here who was kind enough to give me this paper. I mean, this isn't me. This is just fun. The rose to me has to be popped up. Like it does. And I think what we can do is we just have to start somewhere. There's not a right or a wrong. Oh, you could take, I'll show you something and then you can do it any way you want. You could take this tool, which you don't really need. Noni and I ended up with this. She probably got it in some lot that she purchased or something. And then, I don't know. Sometimes when she goes to get rid of stuff, I'm like, oh, we should keep that. So I use it for scoring sometimes, especially if I'm going to do a million card bases, I'll use this end. But you can take that, you can use the marker of your choice and kind of bend your flowers. And you can bend them up, you can bend them down. All you're doing is adding a little interest and dimension to the page. And if you look at this and you think, oh my gosh, she ruined those flowers, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. So I'm going to put this one down, and when I glue them, even the ones that I'm saying I'm going to glue flat, some of them I'm not going to glue the whole thing. This is art glitter glue, which by the way is my favorite, but I have had this bottle so long you can't tell that, and I might splurge and get a new bottle. I'm getting low anyway, so my refill's almost out too. Okay, so I'm going to glue that one down, but it has, I don't know that you can tell, it has a little dimension. That petal is not laying flat. And just play. You could do the same thing if you had die cuts and you were playing. And if you go back in my videos, you will see a time when I was like, I will not fussy cut. I don't know what happened. Some people are thinking it might be aliens or something. But now I do it, and the return on my projects is so amazing. I don't even really hate it. And this paper cuts really nice too, so that helps. Okay, now I just want them to be like completely different. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this one flat right there because I liked it. A little too flat, quite frankly, because of those stars. I would have liked it to flatten a little more. And I don't want to go into the tuck, right? I want the flowers on the front of it, I decided, partly because of dimension. So I want it to be up and a little bit floppy there. You can also use glue dots if you want. Here, I'll show you. Glue dots will give you a little bit of dimension, but not as much as foam mount. So if you have glue dots and foam mount, or maybe you don't have any foam mount, you could use a bunch of glue dots, then you're getting different layers and it's not all the same. Okay, now this is where it gets tricky. I don't want the polka dots to show at all. Okay, there. Now we're going to foam mount the heck out of this one. I don't think everyone needs to run out and buy foam mount, but it's just like anything else. You know how we all go through the, oh my gosh, I have to heat emboss, I need to get all that stuff. Wink of Stella. I put Wink of Stella on everything for like a year straight. It's not that one thing is better, it's just that it gets in your brain and you do it a lot. Now, I don't want my flower to be floppy. I really want it to pop out. But I could, like right here, sort of curve this down. There we go. And then here. There we go. So just because I have foam mount, also, you might have heard me say this in a different video recently. Sorry, I forgot you were zoomed. That my foam mount it feels like it's getting old. It's not as sticky as it once was. And I mean, this was a giant roll before COVID. And then COVID, I really didn't use foam mount. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there. I don't even think I'm going to put another layer because I really want it to be, not that straight. My flower has like this straight thing across the bottom. There we go. Okay, so see how the big rose pops out in the middle? And part of me says, you should cut something else and tuck it in there. And I might. You may see that this card is different in the final video. I don't know though, because I've waited too long. So time is starting to be an issue. I also have no idea when you're going to see this actual video. I hadn't planned to make a process video. And then I thought, well, this is wonderful paper and people might want to see it. And I didn't make a process video for something else that I usually do this month. So I thought, what the heck? Oh, this is awesome. Okay, now I have put glue on my foam mount. If you do that or with glue dots, you get a little jiggle more than you would normally. Now I need to go up because I don't want, there we go. I didn't want the paper showing through all that. My things are a little far apart. That's what my problem is. We're gonna roll with it. I overestimated the size of that rose. Okay, so now we have a rose here that's up. These are up and moving, motion here. It's not flat. When you layer it on the card front, something went terribly wrong, you guys. Oh, I never checked the size of the blue paper. That's awesome. Let's see what happened here. 6, it's more. So when I took it out of the box or the package, I don't know, I was just talking to you guys and not paying attention. Okay, so the card front is 4 1/4. So this has to be no bigger than 4 1/4. And this is my own personal issue, I don't usually like my card fronts to be the same size as the front because I can't get them on there straight. So I took a little bit off the bottom also. I'm going to take a little more off the bottom without trying to cut that flower. The odd thing is I like my width. It's fine. And I'm going to leave the width on the card the way it is. I'm going to make sure this one's not weird. That one might be a little weird. Let's keep trying until we find one that fits nice. My quality control on card base making is questionable. We're close. We're going to need just a hair off the bottom, which is terrifying because I do not want to cut that flower, right? Now, this cutter does a great job. Some cutters would not take a hair off and you would need to use scissors or something. So if your cutter is like a track cutter and it's not going to take off a hair, don't try it. Okay, there we go. We're fine. You would have missed all that if I'd turned off the camera for what I thought was the boring part. Okay, there we go. I don't know for sure about the glitter. I think for me, it's gonna depend on what color. I think diamond I would be okay with. I'm gonna put it together first. Stickles takes a long time to dry, so I wouldn't want to put it on my flower and then I couldn't put my card together. Does that make sense? And when I use stickles, I have to set it away from me because I will no doubt put my hand in it or layer something on top of it. Like I'll set the next card down so then the other card has stickles on the back. I think I'm going to put this together. I'm going to get some more coffee and then check my list for today and see what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll be back.